That's it. I mean, of course, there's kind of a bigger problem overall, and that's the car doesn't start.
I know what's wrong with it. Ain't got no gas in it.
So those are jumped. Oh, this is gonna be great. 2. So that's our engine code. It's just 2. The hardest part about diagnosing problems on old cars is not being able to just plug in a $10 sensor from Amazon and read a code, look it up, and then you know exactly what's wrong with your car. I came out here with my code reader, all excited to use it, and then know exactly what was going on and not allowing this car to start. And then I remembered that this car predates OBD2. So if you're not a mechanic, or you haven't worked on any cars that are older than 30 years, you might be wondering what the hell I'm doing in that last clip. Taking a paper clip and hot wiring some random crap in my engine bay, and then reading Morse code from my check engine light, trying to figure out what my car is trying to say to me, like I'm doing some kind of seance. Sit down, because you're gonna get a little history lesson here. I'm gonna tell you why we shouldn't be so mad at California and CARB. So before OBD2, car diagnostic systems were a non-standardized mess. Back in 1980, GM developed what is known as one of, if not the first, onboard diagnostic tool for a couple of their Cadillac models. This would display diagnostic trouble codes, or DTCs, through the climate control display. 1988 marked the beginning of the trailblazing era we now refer to as OBD1. This is called a retronym, by the way. I just thought that was neat. This was an attempt by the California Air Resources Board, as you may know, may be familiar with, to have all manufacturers adopt some kind of diagnostic system in order to meet the emission standards originally introduced in the Clean Air Act of 1970. Being in the pioneering stage of the process, every manufacturer had their own way of implementing this technology. This means that everybody had their own diagnostic tool, their own port design, port location, code definitions, and most of them were very rudimentary systems offering very basic diagnostics, only vaguely narrowing down some of the issues. During this time, the Society of Automotive Engineers, or SAE, worked on a standardized diagnostic system that would eventually be implemented in all cars as mandated by CARB in 1994, and the rest of the US in 1996. I didn't really expect to go on a tangent about the history of onboard diagnostics, but I kind of thought it was interesting. And I forgot how old this car was and that I was going to have to deal with that. And who doesn't love a good rabbit hole? So everybody be nice to CARB and say thanks to CARB for making it easier for us all to work on our cars. Nowadays, we like to give them a lot of crap, but you know, they really cooked with that one. So this was 1990, before any of that came out. So this was right at the beginning of the exploration phase of onboard diagnostics. So on the OBD1 system for the Miata, port is right here in the engine bay, sits right above this shock tower here. And to begin the seance, you need to look at these pins here, and you take a paper clip and you jump the GND and TEN pin together. I'm assuming GND is ground and TEN is something engine, I'm going to assume. And then turn the key on to the on position, and the check engine light's going to flash a number of times, and that's going to give you your vague code that you can try and decipher what that means from there. 2. So that's our engine code. It's just 2. So 2 flashes means no any signal, which according to the sacred texts on the internet means that the crank angle sensor isn't telling the engine that anything is trying to spin, and then the engine isn't going to give it what it needs to start. This can mean a number of things. This can mean that the timing belt is snapped. This could mean that it's not getting any fuel. This could mean that the sensor itself is burnt out. You know, I was kind of preparing to just go down the line, and I was probably going to start with this anyways, but then the answer became pretty obvious when this started happening. I don't know what the f that was. Okay, so something was just shorting out. That's not cool. So that electrical noise you're hearing is the reason that I bought a fire extinguisher. And it's coming from right here. I know Miata guys are already nodding their heads because they know what is going on here. This is called the crank angle sensor. It lines up with the Something in the camshaft right here. This is the #1 result that shows up when you Google a crank no start on the NA and NB Miatas. It doesn't matter if it's a 1.6 or a 1.8. If your car is cranking and not starting, that's usually what people will recommend first that you take a look at. Obviously mine sounded like it was about to explode. So that became pretty obvious that that was the culprit. As soon as I replaced that part, so this ended up being what it was. And I'm really happy about that because this, to get this car running for $1,000, technically was only this. So this was, I wanna say $150. I'll put the real price when I go back and look at the receipt. But it was a super easy swap, 1 bolt and then 1 O-ring that I gotta, and then like the hardest part is you gotta line up this. This is what it looks like, and you can kind of see that the tabs here are offset like a little bit to the left here. So I kind of just had to feel in there and line it up, and it freaking worked. I can't believe that that worked for like $150. So now technically, ignoring all the other issues that this car had and still has, technically I got a running and driving Miata for like $1,100, $1,200. What I need to do now is take the car out for a drive, see how it does. I suspect that the shocks that I saw in the first video that I made are going to be a problem, and we'll see if we can figure out if anything else is a problem and then go from there. I don't know how much of this is going to come through because it's no roof, so it's a little windy. Hang on. Okay. Engine feels great. It's lurchy. And I'm only doing like 65 miles an hour. So that's awesome. What's not awesome is the way this thing drives. I am between every gear shift getting thrown all over the place. And that's not good. It's obviously not good. I think I know what it is. Hold on. Shifts pretty good, actually. Yeah, I am excited that that was the only issue, technically, for now. Obviously, there's a lot more to it than that. The engine has a pretty harsh pinging sound. It leaks everywhere still. I'm gonna have to probably go through the entire drivetrain if the rest of the car has been in the indicator. I missed having a manual so much that I couldn't help myself but hop behind the wheel. Now I'm hearing and seeing that something is clearly wrong with the suspension. So, spoiler alert, I already bought new suspension. I'm gonna discuss cheap price points for suspension. This car has gone a long time without the proper care and attention that it needs. It deserves a little something new, a little something fresh. Yeah, we're gonna get you patched up, buddy. Oh, that's some harsh light. I can feel it. I feel like a lizard. I keep forgetting where I'm at when I'm filming, so I'm just going to keep summarizing every time. And hey, buddy, what are you doing? You're all wet.